The deep dive. Looked up, +4 in the Like Young's indie power pop blueprint.
Join us for a deep dive into the 2002 indie rock EP Looked Up, +4 by the Like Young. If you are curious about how bands transition their sound and pack massive energy into a short runtime, this for you. We explore how Amanda and Joseph Ziemba evolved from their previous projects, Wolfie and Busy Toby, to craft a raw, uninhibited power pop sound for Kittredge Records. Discover why critics praise their monstrous riffs while debating their tangential lyrics. Whether you're a longtime fan of 2000s indie rock or just love discovering hidden musical gems, this deep dive unpacks the anatomy of a perfect, ear-friendly, quick ride. Keywords: The Like Young, Looked Up +4, 2002 EP, Indie Rock, Power Pop, Kittredge Records, Joe Ziemba, Amanda Ziemba, Wolfie, Busy Toby, Pop Matters, exclaim.
Welcome to the deep dive. Back in 2002, Amanda and Joseph Ziemba did something, something most artists are absolutely terrified to do.
They completely blew up their established musical identity.
Exactly. They just started from scratch. And we're jumping straight into the resulting fallout today. We're unpacking a perfectly distilled slice of early 2000s indie rock history. The 2002 EP titled Looked Up +4 by the band The Like Young.
It's such a fascinating release to look back on.
It really is. And look, if you are fascinated by how bands pivot, how they shed the weight of their past to build a completely new sound, you are going to love this.
Yeah, the transition is the best part.
Right. And how they managed to pack a massive wallop of energy into a blink and you miss it runtime.
Yeah.
We are pulling directly from the EP's historical footprint today.
And the critical record as well.
Right, to understand how this tiny 10-minute collection of songs managed to set a blueprint for an entire era of their career.
Which is a heavy lift for an EP.
It really is.
Yeah.
But for a listener who loves gaining knowledge quickly, an EP, an extended play, is the perfect musical equivalent.
Oh, absolutely.
It's short, it's impactful, and it's absolutely bursting with unedited ideas.
What's fascinating here is how a brief release like this serves as the ultimate creative laboratory. We so often look at massive full-length studio albums as the defining milestones in a band's career, right?
Of course, that's the standard narrative.
But EPs are where the actual messy evolution happens behind the scenes. It's the transitional space.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
In this deep dive, we're going to explore how the Like Young used this specific format to test their boundaries. We will be analyzing not just the structural anatomy of this incredibly dense music, but the critical reception that surrounded it.
Because the critics definitely had some things to say.
They were highly divided on certain elements of this raw sound, and looking at those debates gives us a really clear window into the indie rock landscape of the early 2000s.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because to really understand the noise on this record, we have to look closely at the architects building it.
The personnel.
Right. The Like Young isn't some sprawling 7-piece collective fighting for space on a mixing board. It is a tightly knit duo.
Just two people.
It's just two.
Yeah.
You have Amanda Ziemba, who is handling the drums and the vocals. And then you have Joseph A. Ziemba carrying a genuinely massive load here.
Oh, yeah, he's doing a lot.
He's on bass, he's playing guitar, he's providing vocals, and crucially, he stepped up to act as the producer for the entire EP.
That's the detail that changes everything.
Right. This is a completely in-house, self-contained creative engine. They aren't outsourcing their sound to anyone.
And that self-contained nature fundamentally shapes what you are hearing.
How so?
Well, when an artist takes on the production role, especially in a transitionary phase like they were in, they are creating a protective bubble around their ideas.
I see.
There is no outside voice sitting in the studio telling them to polish a rough edge or slow down a tempo.
It's pure, unfiltered intent.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to recognize their musical ancestry.
Right, because they didn't just appear out of nowhere.
No, Amanda and Joseph weren't novices trying to figure out how to plug in a guitar for the first time. They had a real pedigree.
They formerly played in the bands Wolfie and Busy Toby.
Yeah. And leaving established projects like that to start a brand new one is a massive leap of faith.
It's terrifying. You're walking away from a built-in audience.
It's a deliberate untethering. When you walk away from a project with an established fan base and a defined aesthetic, you are essentially buying yourself a blank canvas. They were no longer beholden to whatever sonic expectations people had for Wolfie or for Busy Toby.
Right.
The Like Young was their opportunity to completely redefine their creative boundaries on their own terms without any legacy baggage weighing them down.
And they painted that blank canvas at a breakneck pace.
They really did.
This EP was released in 2002 by Kittredge Records, but the surrounding timeline is what makes it so compelling.
Let's look at the timeline because it's intense.
The Like Young had already released another project that exact same year. Their initial release, St. Monroe / The Like Young.
So that's already one release in 2002.
Right. And almost immediately after Looked Up +4 drops, they followed it up with their 2003 studio album Art Contest.
Wow.
Think of this EP as a bridge connecting two major landmasses in their career. They are practically sprinting across this bridge.
Just figuring out their exact signature sound in real time.
Yeah, and doing it in front of an audience.
The momentum is staggering when you look at that timeline.
It is.
Releasing an initial project, a defining EP, and a full studio album in essentially a 2-year window that implies a very specific kind of creative fever.
Like they couldn't get the ideas out fast enough.
Exactly. They were actively iterating. By keeping the production entirely in Joe's hands, they ensured that the raw, immediate translation of their new ideas made it to tape.
Before they had time to second-guess themselves.
Right. It's a snapshot of a band in hyper-evolution.
Which brings us to the actual anatomy of this project, track by track.
The quick ride.
The very quick ride. When we call this a quick ride, we mean it. Brevity isn't just a feature of this EP, it is their absolute superpower. Definitely.
The band wrote every single track themselves, and the track list is a masterclass in getting straight to the point without wasting a single second.
The track lengths they're wild.
Let me just list these off for you. The longest track on here barely scratches 2.5 minutes.
Right.
You have the title track Looked Up at 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Which feels standard for a punk-adjacent song.
Sure. But then, Bad Excuse shaves that down to a mere 1 minute and 54 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Then you hit the track Freddie, which is over in a blistering 1 minute and 23 seconds.
1 minute and 23 seconds. It's over before you even realize it started.
It's barely an intro for some bands.
I mean, that kind of runtime requires an immense amount of discipline.
It really does. And then the final 2 tracks, Threshold Person and You Can't Get It Back, both hover right around that 2 minute and 20 second mark.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting. If you run the math on those 5 tracks, this entire musical statement clocks in at roughly 10.5 minutes total. 10.5 minutes?
You are getting an entire era of a band's evolution in the time it takes to walk around the block.
And that incredibly dense runtime is the key to why the EP succeeds.
You think the brevity is the secret ingredient?
Absolutely. When you look at the genres this release is categorized under, indie rock and power pop, those track lengths make perfect sense.
How so? Let's break that down.
Well, power pop as a genre is entirely built around delivering maximum melodic impact.
Right, big hooks.
It relies on the aggressive, unpolished energy of rock and roll, but it marries it to the relentlessly catchy, hook-driven structures of pop music.
There is zero room for a sprawling 3-minute guitar solo in that formula.
No room at all.
Or a moody, atmospheric intro. It's an editorial ruthlessness.
Editorial ruthlessness is the perfect way to phrase it. It respects your time.
Yeah, that's true.
For a listener today, navigating the modern landscape of bloated media and endless content, a 10-minute EP that refuses to waste a single second of your attention feels incredibly refreshing.
They get in, they deliver the hook with maximum force, and they get out.
Exactly.
It's the musical equivalent of a double espresso shot.
Yeah.
Just pure, highly concentrated energy.
And the critics at the time noticed.
They certainly did. The critics operating in the indie rock scene back in 2002 really took notice of what the Like Young was trying to do.
What was the general consensus?
The overarching consensus was that Looked Up +4 served as a fantastic, undeniable introduction to their new identity.
Right.
Critics broadly saw it as catchy, well-written, and a incredibly solid opening argument for their stripped-down sound.
The critical record from that specific era provides us with some vital insight into how this transition was actually received in the moment.
Let's talk about some of those specific reviews.
Well, Cam Lindsay, writing for Exclaim, was highly complimentary of the project.
Yeah, Lindsay had some great things to say.
Lindsay praised the tracks as catchy, ear-friendly power pop, which validates that pop sensibility we just discussed. But the detail Lindsay highlighted that really anchors the review is the mention of their monstrous riffs.
I can't get over that phrase. Monstrous riffs.
It's a great description.
It creates such a brilliant contrast in your mind. Because when you think of a song that is only 1 minute and 23 seconds long, your brain naturally assumes it must be something light.
Right, maybe a bit flimsy.
Or acoustic, yeah.
Yeah.
But instead, they are packing these massive, heavy, sludgy guitar riffs into these tiny, bite-sized pop structures.
It's all about the friction.
The friction between the heavy instrumentation and the bright pop melody is exactly what makes it work.
It creates a wildly dense sonic experience. You are being hit with the sonic weight of a heavy metal track, but the pacing and the melody of a Beatles single.
That's a great comparison.
Dave Heaton, reviewing the EP for Pop Matters, picked up on a similar thread.
Heaton's review is fascinating.
He famously described the album as a quick ride, but a fantastic one. But his review actually gets at something deeper regarding their transition.
Right, about their past work.
Yes. He noted that fans of the Zimbas' previous endeavors in Wolfie and Busy Toby wouldn't be completely alienated.
Even though the sound was different.
Right. He argued the sound would actually feel familiar to those old fans.
He used this fantastic analogy to explain that. He said the sound was familiar, but in somewhat different musical clothes.
Different musical clothes.
It paints such a vivid picture of a band evolving without losing their soul.
The core DNA is still there.
Exactly. The way Amanda and Joseph structure a melody, the way they harmonize, their innate sense of rhythm, that's all still perfectly intact.
They just went into the closet, threw out the old aesthetic, and dressed those same songwriting instincts in something much punchier.
Heavier, more direct.
It's a crucial observation by Heaton because it highlights that true artistic transitions rarely erase the past entirely.
That I don't.
They recontextualize it. The different musical clothes in this case happen to be the distilled, aggressive textures of power pop. They weaponize the pop sensibilities they already possessed.
But, as with any piece of art that takes risks, it wasn't universally flawless praise across the board.
Rarely is.
Right. To really understand the impact of the EP, we have to look at the full spectrum of reception. And that includes the friction.
There's definitely some dissenting nuance.
Yeah. From Angelo de Aso II, writing for In Music We Trust.
What was his take?
Well, he actually started with some very high praise. He called the album raw and uninhibited.
Which is high praise for indie rock.
Let's be honest, if you were putting out a 10-minute indie rock EP, raw and uninhibited is the ultimate compliment.
It practically was the gold standard for that specific era of early 2000s indie rock.
Definitely.
That label implies a distinct lack of overproduction, a certain honesty and urgency in the vocal performance.
Right, it feels alive.
It means Joe Ziemba's production choices worked. He captured lightning in a bottle rather than polishing the life out of it.
But here is where the critique comes in.
The dissenting nuance.
Exactly. While he loved that raw, frantic energy, he was critical of the lyrical content. He specifically described the lyrics as tangential.
Tangential.
Yeah. He felt the words were wandering off topic or perhaps lacking the sharp, focused narrative structure that matched those incredibly tight musical arrangements.
Like the lyrics were trailing behind the music.
Essentially, yes.
Mm.
He felt the lyrics couldn't keep up with the discipline of the music itself.
This raises an important question, and it's one that sits at the very heart of the indie rock genre.
I agree. It's a fundamental debate.
Can a song be effectively raw and uninhibited if its lyrics wander?
Right.
Or, to view it from a completely different angle for you as the listener, does that tangential nature actually enhance the raw, unpolished vibe of the record?
That's the real question.
When you only have 1 minute and 54 seconds to scream a thought into a microphone, like on the track Bad Excuse, do those lyrics need to form a perfectly structured, linear narrative?
Probably not.
Or is it actually more authentic to just capture a fleeting, scattered, disorganized human thought?
That reframes the entire critique for me.
Right.
When you're spilling your guts over a massive, monstrous guitar riff, your thoughts aren't going to be neatly organized into a thesis statement.
That was going to be messy.
They're going to be a little tangential, a little scattered. Because anxiety and human emotion are inherently tangential.
Exactly.
The wandering lyrics might just be the most honest part of the record.
We want to impartially present both sides of this critical coin because it's a debate that still happens in music criticism today.
At the time.
On one hand, the critique from In Music We Trust suggests a missed opportunity, that tighter, more deliberately focused lyrics might have elevated these incredibly catchy songs into undeniable anthems.
Which is a fair point. Precision has value.
It does. On the other hand, a hyper-polished lyric sheet might have completely destroyed the raw and uninhibited charm that made the EP work in the first place.
The imperfections are the point.
Right. It is entirely up to you, as the listener, to decide which element holds more artistic weight. Cohesive, linear storytelling, or raw, unfiltered emotional delivery.
So what does this all mean?
Looking at the big picture.
Yeah. When we look back at the entirety of Looked Up Plus 4, we aren't just looking at 10.5 minutes of aggressive power pop from 2002.
No, it's more than that.
We are looking at a potent, self-produced blueprint. This tiny EP set the entire stage for the Like Young's subsequent, highly prolific run of studio albums.
This is the foundation.
They took this raw, uninhibited energy, figured out exactly how their new musical clothes fit, and channeled that momentum straight into their 2003 album Art Contest.
And they didn't stop there.
Not at all. They followed that up with So Serious in 2004 and Last Secrets in 2006. This EP was the spark that proved their new concept worked.
It serves as a powerful reminder of the deep value of experimentation and brevity.
I think we can all take something away from that.
Just like the Zimbas trying on new textures to see what fit best, we all go through transitional phases in our own lives, our careers, and our creative pursuits. Sometimes the best way forward isn't to lock yourself away and meticulously plan a massive, years-long master project.
That could be paralyzing.
It really can. Sometimes you just need to test out your new ideas in short, rapid bursts. You put your work out there, keep it raw and uninhibited, gather the feedback.
Even the critiques about being too tangential.
Exactly, even the harsh feedback.
Yeah.
And you use that exact momentum to commit to your next big leap.
You don't always need to write the sprawling epic novel on your first try. Sometimes you just need to write 5 really aggressive 2-minute short stories to finally find your voice.
Precisely. And that leaves us with a final thought to mull over as we wrap up our analysis of this era.
Let's hear it.
When artists make the terrifying choice to step away from their established pasts and form something completely new, do they ever truly leave their old sound behind? Or do they just figure out how to distill all of those past experiences, all of that history, into its absolute most potent 2-minute form?
That is a phenomenal question to leave you with. Think about the projects, the roles, or the versions of yourself you've moved on from, and how they still secretly power the foundation of what you are doing right now.
They're always there under the surface.
Always. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We highly encourage you to seek out the lightning-fast tracks of Looked Up Plus 4 for yourself.
It won't take much of your time.
Take 10.5 minutes out of your day, turn the volume all the way up, and enjoy the ride. We will see you next time.